Hi everyone, my name is Rhiannon from Blue Dog Board Games. Today we're going to do a solo playthrough of the very cute roll and write game called Three Sisters. In this game we're going to be playing against Farmer Edith, who's going to be taking away some dice from us. She's going to be interfering with our garden as well, crossing off some various spaces where we would otherwise want to go, and basically being a pain. So we're all set up ready to go, so let's just get cracking on. So Three Sisters is played over 8 rounds. We've got a round tracker here. On every odd round, we are the first player. Every even round, Farmer Edith is the first player. This is our rondel, and you can't probably see the distinct spaces. It took me a little while to get used to where they are, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. She's going to be like rotating round. And she starts in this spot here. Let's roll the dice. So on the first bit of the turn, this little pumpkin is a 1. We sort of sort all the die out into their values. So we've got a 1, and that goes on her space. And then if they're all the same value, they go on the next space, in the same space, and then we just carry on in a clockwise direction. Farmer Edith then moves to the space after, and we can choose which die we want to draft. So we have got, when we actually draft a die, we do a garden action, and the garden action is dependent on the value of the die. So for example, if I drafted this one, I'm going to be gardening in the garden 1 area. This is our garden, and this is split into 6 sections. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we've got the other parts of our garden area. So we've got the perennials, the apiary, fruit, and the shed. And when we take a garden action, we're working solely in the garden segment, so sections 1 to 6. So, so you do, when you draft a die, you do a garden action, and then you do the rondel action. You can choose whether you want to do the rondel action or the garden action first. It doesn't matter. You can choose whatever works for you. So I think I'm actually going to draft this die, since I'm first player. So I can garden in area number 1 and do an apiary or a fruit action. So I'm going to do the rondel action first and go in the apiary. So apiary is over here. This is like a little tree that we climb up. And then I'm going to garden in area 1. Now, when you garden, you can either water the crops in that area of your garden, or you can plant. And when you plant, you can plant up to 2 crops. There are actions which can allow you to plant 3, but the base action is you can plant up to 2. And you can plant pumpkins, which are all around the outskirts of your garden. They give you goods if you grow them to their full potential. You've got your corn, which are 4 spaces high. They give you 3 points if you've grown it to its full potential. And then finally you've got your beans, and your beans can only be planted if they are supported by a corn that's grown to at least space number 2 or 4, because beans need like a structure to sort of help them grow, and that's sort of the theme of this game. You've got all of these 3 crops, the 3 sisters, which really help each other out and really create a really prosperous garden. So I think I'm going to go for pumpkins, because I want the goods. So I'm going to plant here, this pumpkin, and here. And when you plant, you just tick off the bottom spaces. And then we've got Farmer Edith. So Farmer Edith is going to draft a die in the place of the golden pushpin as a priority. There's nothing there, so she's going to work her way around clockwise. So she's going to draft one of these die here. And what she does is she's going to tick off something in our garden in the space value or the value of the die. So she was drafted a die 4, so she is going to cross off something in our garden space 4. Her priorities are pumpkins, and then she's going to go with corn, and then she's going to go with beans. So which pumpkin do I want her to cross off? I think I'm going to go for this one here. So let's cross that off, so I can't get that one any longer. Then she's going to do the rondel action. Now she has gone to the plant or water space. So that means she's going to be actually ticking off something else in our garden. And stopping us from going there. So she's going to pick another pumpkin. She's going to continue with the pumpkins until there's no longer any pumpkins left. So let's go for this one here. So I can no longer get those two. And then it's my go. So I'm going to draft this die here. Not a lot of choice. Now she's ticking off, she's going to be drafting that one as well. So she's going to be ticking off 2 different things in my garden. So already it's not looking good in garden number 4. So what I think I'm going to do is avoid garden number 4. So I've got some compost here. At the beginning of the game, you start with 1 compost, and that allows you to plus or minus 1 on a die. So I'm actually going to tick that off, I think. And I'm going to change that to a value 3 die. And I'm going to plant, therefore, in gardens number 3, and I want to plant this pumpkin and that pumpkin. Then I do a plant or water action in that garden as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start planting some beans, not beans, corn. There we go. And then finally Farmer Edith is going to be drafting this one. So she's crossing off my final pumpkin in garden 4. And then she's going to start going for the corn. Little monkey. And that is our first round of the game. Each round has a special event at the end. So we can do a shed action at the end of round 1. Shed is over here. That means we can just sort of start ticking off some bonuses. And let's have a look what we've got, what would be really good. We're trying to push up in our apiary. Is anything going to be good in our apiary? We're also trying to push up our goods track, because once we get our pumpkins growing, that's going to give us lots of goods. And this fancy labels gives us +1 perennial at the farmer's market. So I actually think I'm going to go there, start ticking off the fancy labels. And then we're in round 2. So let's do the die again. Now Farmer Edith is first player. So the 1 goes on her space, the 3 goes on the next, and the 2 4s go after. And we move her until after all the die. So she's actually drafting closest to the golden pushpin and then around. So she's going to draft this die here. She's going to cross off something in garden number 1. So she is grabbing that hydrangea. She's grabbing that pumpkin from me. I was reading this hydrangea because when you manage to grow 2 pumpkins next to each other, you can get the perennial in the middle, and that allows you to start taking up these perennial tracks. And then she is going to start ticking off some bits in my shed. So she's going to cross off the mason jars. So let's get rid of mason jars. They would allow me to get 1 good per blackberry harvest. So, what do I want to do now? I think, so if I draft this one, she's going to go there. If I draft this one, she's going to grab that one. What do I want to prevent her from doing? If she gets this number 4, she's going to be getting she's going to go for the blue action, which is a fruit. So she's going to tick off a blackberry. Stop me getting a blackberry. That's not too bad. And actually, I want to encourage her to tick off stuff in garden 4 because I think I've written off garden 4. So let's draft this one. I'm going to go to garden number 3. I don't know whether to just plant. Shall I continue to plant? Let's plant. So I'm going to plant my last 2 corn. And then I've got 1 compost and 4 goods. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll see these little stars on the goods track. That gives you a wild action. And the wild actions can be spent anywhere, just not your garden. So they can push up in perennials, the apiary, fruit, or the shed. So they're really useful. And then we have got Edith. That's going to start causing havoc in number 4. And then she's going to grab a blackberry. So she's going to stop me getting that. And then I can do this one as well. So I'm going to use my compost that I just got to make this a 3. I'm going to water, I think, in garden number 3. So that allows me to grab that good, which gives me a wild action. When you water, you basically grow in that garden segment 1 square on anything that's been planted. So everything just grows upwards 1 square. I have managed to gain that pumpkin. So that allowed me to tick off an extra good. And then that has given me a wild action. Now, what do I want to do with my wild action? I think I'm going to put that to the shed, and then I'm only 1 off getting these fancy labels, which will give me an extra perennial action at the farmer's market. We haven't been to the farmer's market yet. And then finally, I drafted from the apiary and fruit space, so I'm going to tick off in the apiary track, which allows me to do a fruit action. I am going to go and start working up the raspberries track for Witch and Tan. Gives me 3 goods. There we go. And then we are raining. So end of round 2, it is raining. So when it rains across your entire garden. It's not specific to a specific area, like when you are just doing your normal gardening and watering. So you are growing one space in everything that's already planted. So I like to work around in a circle. So we're growing these pumpkins in space 1. There's nothing in 2. We're doing well with garden 3. And then we actually gain another 2 goods from that, which gives us another wild action, which we will deal with in a minute. In the first instance, we've got a hyacinth. So remember I said whenever you grow 2 adjacent pumpkins, you actually get the perennial that's in the middle of them. So I have now got a hyacinth action, which allows me to tick off the hyacinth down here, which gives me 2 immediate goods. Nothing to grow here or here or here. So I've now got another wild action. You know what I'm going to do is actually go and start ticking up the raspberries again. That gives me 3 goods, which then gives me another wild action. And then I'm going to use that wild action to go to the shed, tick off the fancy labels at the farmer's market, and that also gives me 2 points at the end of the game. Round 3. So this is where we can start going to the farmer's market, and this is little box here is to do with that. There is also a space down here on the rondel which allows you to go to the farmer's market as well. Oh, some nice high values. So this 4 goes there. So it's my first turn. So do I want this one? If I don't take this 4, Edith is going to take it. And she's going to tick off the trimmer. She's going to stop me getting the trimmer. Where's the trimmer in my... Here we go, string trimmer. Gives me 6 points at the end of the game, but no other bonus. That's quite a nice little one. But at the end of the day, I do want her to draft that because I don't want to be growing anything in garden number 4 because she's basically ticked off everything. So I want her to go there. So I'm going to draft number 6. And I'm going to do the garden action first. I think I'm going to plant because there's nothing else in there at the moment. So I'm going to plant 2 pumpkins. And then I'm going to go to the farmer's market. Now, farmer's market is to do with the number of goods you've got. I have got a grand total of 15 goods. And so you have a look at how many goods you've got here and it tells you what bonus you get for it. So at the moment, the threshold is 20. So I'm on the one below. So for 4 goods, you get a perennial action and a compost. So let's get my compost and I get a perennial action. Now, I've also got the fancy labels. So I get +1 perennial action at the farmer's market. So I've now got 2 perennial actions, which is amazing. So where do I want to go for that? I think I'm actually going to push up with the daffodil. So if I push up the daffodil, that gives me a shed action. I'm going to start working towards the new tractor, which doesn't give me anything but 18 points at the end of the game. That's really nice. So now I've got 1 more perennial action. I think I might actually go to the tulips, which gives me a fruit action. And I'm therefore going to go to the raspberries. It gives me a point at the end of the game and 3 goods. Yeah, I think so. And then Edith is going to draft this one. So she's going to cause havoc in garden 4, tick off the final corn. And then number 4, she's going to tick off the trimmer. So cross that off. Can't get that anymore. And finally, I'm going to go to the farmer's market again, but I'm going to do some bits in garden number 6 first. So I think I'm going to plant again. I think I'm just going to go for that. So I'm going to plant a corn and a corn. And then the farmer's market, I'm now at 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm still 2 off, but I do get 2 perennial actions and a compost. So let's get the compost. I think I actually crossed that off instead of giving me a dot, so I'll give myself a dot there. Right, perennials. I'm going to go to the hyacinth, which gives me 2 goods, and that gives me a wild action. I'm going to go, I want to start pushing up in peaches as well, I think. So I'm actually going to go to the tulip, which will allow me to get 2 goods per peach harvest. And then I'm going to use my wild action to tick off a first peach. You only harvest the goods when they're a circular space. The one I just ticked off was a square. And then finally Edith is going to draft number 6 again. So she is going to, there's no pumpkins left, so she's going to just cross off a corn and do something horrible. So she is looking at the perennials and she's going to cross off a daffodil. That's a bit annoying. Oh well. On the plus side though, we now get to go to the farmer's market and now we have got 20 goods. So we have pushed up into the next section. So we've got 2 perennial actions and a fruit action. So I'm going to use my fruit action first to do the peaches, which allows me to water a garden space. I think I'm going to water in garden 6. And also that allows me to gain 2 goods per peach harvest. Then I've got 2 perennial actions. What do I want to do with them? So I think I will push up twice in the shed, and then it allows me to tick off another space on my tractor. I think round 4. I think Edith was meant to be there now, so that should be there. It's so funny doing these playthroughs, there's so many things that you do wrong and you don't really realise it. I think it's just so much more pressure doing it on camera. So Edith is going first. She's going to be drafting this one here. So she is going to be manipulating in garden 3. So pumpkins are fine, Corn is fine, but beans are not safe. So she's going to be crossing off one of the beans. And then she's doing an apiary action. Oh, I forgot I was meant to be pushing up in the apiary. It's my problem. I'm trying to do everything at once. So she's going to be looking at this little chart over here. Apiary, she's got a value 3 die, so she's going to be ticking off a wax. My go. Luckily I've got some compost because we've got 4s coming out again. There's a lot of 4s coming out in this game. So I think I'm going to go straight away for this one. Allows me to do something in number 6. I can water. I might plant. And then do a shed time. I think that might be better. So yeah, let's do a shed time. I'm going to tick up for my tractor. And then, shall I plant in number 6? Yeah, I'm going to plant. So I'm going to plant my first bean and this last corn. Edith is going to draft one of these. And in number 4, she's going to then tick off 2 beans. And finally, I have got this one as well. I don't think I want to use that as a 4 because there's literally nothing left in garden number 4. I wonder if I should start looking at garden number 5. I think I might change it to a 5. Is that a bit late in the game? We're halfway through now. Or shall I put it as a 3? If I got it as a 3, I could plant 2 beans. Okay, I think I'm going to do it as a 3. Let's cross that off. I'm going to change it to a 3, which allows me to... No, I'm not. I'm going to change it to a 5. Because it's the plant or water action, I'm going to plant, and then plant this pumpkin, and then plant a final corn. It allows me to give some extra flexibility, I think, rather than focusing on gardener 3. Edith should be up here. Move, Edith. And then we are raining. So this is where it grows everything in your garden. So let's just work in a clockwise direction. So we have now got 2 goods. So let's tick them up. That one grows. Number 2 is empty. We are doing lots of stuff in garden 3. So we've got 3 points and another 3 points. And another 3 points and another 3 points. Number 4 is doing nothing. We are growing in 5. We got another good, which allows us a wild action. And then finally growing in garden 6. And we have managed to get our first bean. Let's grow you. And then we are going here to get 2 goods. That was our pumpkin. And so we have got one of these actions, a wild action. I'm going to go to the raspberries to get 3 goods, which then gives me another wild action. And then I think what I might do is start climbing this apiary a little bit more. I think so. Round 5. Over halfway. I don't like when she crosses things out. I never know how to do it neatly. It always looks so messy. There's so many 4s in this game. I've still got a compost. Let's move Edith now. There we go. So it's actually my turn to draft first. Got a nice apiary action we can do, which would give us 2 fruits. I think I might do that. Although let's think about what she's drafting. She's going to be drafting this one first. So she's going to be doing stuff in garden 1, which isn't too bad. And then stopping me from getting 4 goods. think that's okay. So I'm going to draft one of these. Let's do the apiary action first. So I'm going to go here, which gets me fruit action times 2. I'm going to go straight for the raspberries and the raspberries. So that's 6 goods, which gives me another wild action and 2 points at the end of the game. And then I've got a garden action. I do not want to garden in number 4, so let's use that compost. I'm going to garden in number 5, so that was a good decision before to do that. And I think I'm going to plant the beans. Yeah, and then Edith is going to draft this one. So she's going to cause havoc in garden number 1. Cross that off. And then she's actually, because it's 1 compost and 4 goods, that's to do with the goods track, she's going to cross off our next bonus. So basically we scribble that out and we just skip that space. So we don't get a wild action. She just basically means that you can't use it anymore. I have forgot that I had a wild action to take as well. What did I want to do with that? I'm supposed to use them immediately. I think what I might actually do is continue to climb up this apiary. Yeah, I think so. Okay, my go again. Now, I don't have any more compost. So I don't think I want to draft this one because it means I won't be able to water or plant anything. So I'm going to leave her to have that one. I'm going to draft this one. And I think I'm going to go for the shed action first to get my new tractor soon. And then do something in garden 5. I think I might plant more. It's a bit risky, but I'm going to go for it. So let's plant these 2 corn. And then finally Edith is drafting this one, causing final havoc. She has blocked off the entire garden 4. That's really good though. I'm trying to concentrate her in one area. And then here she's going to cross off a blackberry. Another blackberry. There we go. Then we go to the farmer's market, end of round 5. So what we are now, we have got 36 goods. Oh, we have just up. So we get 3 perennial actions on a compost. You usually get 2, but I've got my extra one from my shed. So get a compost. Compost has been very useful this game. I usually don't use the compost very often, but I'm finding it quite useful in this game. So I've got 3 perennials. 3 perennial actions. So much to remember in this game. There's quite a lot of combos that can really kick off, so I just want to make sure that I'm trying to capture it all. I am going to go for 2 tulips, which will allow me to get more goods per peach harvest. So maybe I'll focus on the peaches now. And then I think I'm going to go for maybe the hyacinth. At the end of the game, if you've pushed up to the very top of any of these perennial tracks, they do give you extra points. I'm furthest in the tulip and the daffodil, but she has already crossed off the top square of the daffodil. So maybe I should actually look at the tulips. That's going to give me 1 point per harvested fruit to a maximum of 15 points. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 harvested fruits at the moment. Yeah, actually, I'm going to try and get that. So let's do that. That would be really good. Round 6. So Edith is going first. She's going to draft one of these. So she's going to cross off in number 3. Pumpkins are gone. I've grown all of the corn, so she is going to grab one of the beans. And then she's drafting a 3 in the apiary, so she's going to tick off a wax. That's really good. I thought she was going to start doing the honey, and I was looking at starting to climb that track for the big points. I could get 10 points if I tick off 2 more points, 2 more squares there. So where do I want to go? The farmer's market. This one is looking mightily tasty, but I haven't even grown anything in garden number 2, and it's getting quite late in the game. I could alter the value of the die. So either way, my last die is going to be this one here, which is quite nice. I think I might plant in that case. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to draft this one, you know. I'm going to draft this one. It's going to be more beneficial to me and more detrimental to Edith. So I'm actually going to change the value of it. What do I want to change the value of it to? Do I want to do a 1 or a 3? I think I might do a 3 because I'm a little late in the game to start growing my corn. I think. So let's do it to a 3. And I'm going to plant 2 beans. And then I'm going to go to the farmer's market. I have got a grand total of 36 still. So I get 3 perennials and a compost. So I'm going to max out this one here. And then I've got 2 perennials left over. I think I'm going to go to Hyacinth and get 2 goods. I'm eyeing up this 10 points, and then I think I might try and climb some hydrangea because that's going to allow me to harvest more fruits, which will allow me to use the bonus on the tulip even more. Something like that. And then Edith is going to go and draft this die. She then drafts the lowest, if I didn't explain before, she drafts the lowest value die for her second die. So she's going to manipulate in number 3. Now, she is actually, I have grown and she has blocked off everything we can possibly do. She can't sort of cross off anything that started growing. So she's just going to ignore that value, which is really nice, but she is going to continue to do the apiary action and cross off another wax, which is what I was really mindful of. Like, I really want her to continue to cross off things that I'm not climbing up. And then finally, I've got this number 6. And I'm going to plant some beans. And then I'm going to water in garden 6, which is going to give me lots of bits and pieces. So that's a 3 points for the corn, 3 points for that corn, 1 point for that bean, and then 1 point for that bean. And then I've got 3 goods for this one here. And that allows me to get a hyacinth. Where's the hyacinth? Which allows me to tick up the hyacinth track. And then I've also got this one, which is the tulip. I've already maximized tulip, so I ignore that. So those bonuses were because I've completed pumpkins that were like adjacent to each other. So anytime you get pumpkins adjacent to each other, there's a perennial in the middle of them that you can tick off. And unfortunately, Edith had crossed off my next bonus, so I didn't get the bonus in between those bits, but you know, it doesn't matter. I think that was pretty good. And then we've got end of round 6, we've got a shed action. I'm going to go and work towards my tractor still. I'm 1 off my tractor, so we're nearly there. In round 7. Usually there's doubles. So my go first. So if I draft that one, she's going to be drafting that one. So she might be doing this, which would be ticking off mason jars. She's already ticked off the mason jars, so that's really not too much of a problem. I also don't mind her crossing off something in garden 1 now either. So that's not too much of a worry. What would be a worry, no, that's not much of a worry either. If she took this one, she's going to be ticking off blackberries. She's already ticked off 2 blackberries. I think I want to go to the apiary. Yes, I'm going to draft this one. I'm going to go to the apiary and tick off a honey space, which is going to give me 5 points at the end of the game. I'm then going to water in garden number 5. So that gives me 1 point for a bean, another point for a bean. And we're nearly finished a lot of other bits in it. Edith is going to draft this one. So like I said, she can't tick off the mason jars as her rundle action, but she is going to tick off something in garden number 1. She's going to tick off a nice corn. And then finally, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I don't really want a 3. I do have 1 compost. That would give me 4 goods, which would be really nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I was just seeing if I could get 2 wild actions from that. I don't think so. She's going to be ticking off the mulch in the shed if she goes there, which will mean what? Where's the mulch? Take a perennial action instead of a rondel action. Bit late in the game to be worrying about that now. You know what? We are actually going to grab this one. We're going to change it to a 5 because I want to water in garden 5. So that means I can harvest these beans, and it allows me to ensure that I harvest these bottom 2 at the end of the game, because rain is the very last thing that you do. And then I get a shed time, which allows me to ensure that I have my tractor. I just didn't want to get to the end of the game and not be able to get it, because that would be detrimental. And then she's going to be drafting this one as her final one. So she's going to be ticking off something in garden number 3. Again, that is completely blocked, so she can't anymore. But she is going to be blocking the next bonus space from us, so that's annoying. So end of round 7, we've got the farmer's market. We have got a grand total of 42 goods, I think. Yeah, 42. So, excuse me, we have got 3 perennial actions and a compost, including our bonus there. So I've got a compost and 3 perennials. So I think we're going to go get this hyacinth, which is worth 10 points at the end of the game. Let's go for an apple. Well, it's a high ranger, which gives us an apple. And then go for another one. All right, very final round. So yeah, it's really good to remember that it rains at the end of round 8. So that grows everything in your garden, the entire garden area, by 1. All right. So she is drafting this one first. She's going to be blocking off in number 3 again, but she can't. Poor Edith. And then the apiary, she is going to go for the wax again. So that's fabulous. That's her. I really actually wanted to push up a bit more in my apiary, but oh well. I don't think I can now. It's a shame. I think I want to try and maximise my perennial potential. I am trying to see what's going to give me more points at the end of the game, and I think that this fruit bowl would be really good. That gives me 1, 4, 7 or 10 points according to fruits that I've harvested. I've only harvested the peaches and the raspberries though. But what I'm thinking is let's try and do it. So what I'm thinking is let's draft this die here. I've got a 1 in the farmer's market, so I'm going to am I planting? I'm watering a garden 1 to get 3 goods from my pumpkin, which allows me to get a crocus and a daffodil action. Crocus to compost and a daffodil, which gives me a shed action. So I'm gonna grab that first in the fruit bowl. And then farmer's market. So I am going to grab, I've got how many? 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I get 3 perennials in a compost. My perennials, I'm going to go for the shed. Blackberry, raspberry. Blackberry, raspberry. So that gives me another 3 goods. Edith is going to grab this in number 4, which is actually really good because there's nothing left in number 4, so she can't do anything at all. And then my final go, I'm going to do the shed time, which allows me to get the scoring for the fruits at the end of the game and allows me to do something in garden 5. I will plant some beans then. So if I plant 2 beans, and then finally we are watering, we are raining. So we are growing everything that is left to be grown in our garden. So that is done. Number 1, number 2, nothing has happened in number 2. Number 3, we gain a point and a point from our 2 beans. Number 4 is done. Number 5, we're getting another bean and a bean and a corn and a corn. No bean there though. And number 6 is already fully grown. Oh no, it's not. We got a bean here, a corn here. And that is the end of the game. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get my apples, but that's okay. I think that was okay. I think that was pretty good. So scoring is actually really quite simple. There's lots of different bits to take account of, but it's all like nicely laid out at the side. So first of all, you count up everything in your garden. So your pumpkins aren't actually worth anything at the end of the game. It's just your corn and your beans. So we have absolutely nothing in number 1. We've got lots in number 3. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14. Nothing in 4. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 33, and then 34, 35, 36, 37, 40, 41, 44, 45, 45 in our garden. Perennials. So we've got 10 points for the hyacinth track. We managed to get to the top. The tulips, that gives me 1 point per fruit I've harvested. So I have harvested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fruits. So I've got 19 points from my perennials. Apiary, I've only got 5 points from here, which was a bit disappointing. Fruits. Some of them will give you like actions in the game, others will give you bonuses at the end of the game. So blackberries just give you 2 flat points. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 points there. And then the shed. So I've got my nice shiny new tractor for 18 points. And then my fancy labels, they give me 2 points as well. And then my fruit bowl, I get 1, 4, 7 or 10 points per fruits at the end of the game. So if I've got 4 different fruits, I get the 10 points. I've got 3 different fruits because I didn't manage to harvest any of the apples, so I get 7 points. So I get 27 points for that. And then you just add them all up. So let me do the maths. So that came to 101 points in total. I think that's actually pretty good. I'm not sure I've managed to break the 100 mark before, so that's quite impressive. I think it was that new tractor. 18 points, that was a real whopper. Also, I think the perennials are actually really strong. I've never sort of focused too heavily on the perennials before, but that seems to have shot me quite far with an extra 19 points there. So that is Three Sisters. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and we'll have a look in a minute at my final thoughts on the game. So I have just checked, and 101 is actually my best score. The previous high score was 96, so yeah, I actually got quite a lot more points than I have done before in this playthrough, which is, I really know what I did differently. I may have focused a bit more on the perennials than usual, so yeah, that's quite exciting. But anyway, I wanted to just share some final thoughts on Three Sisters. What I really, really love about this game is how the theme is sort of woven into the mechanics of the game. So the Three Sisters are the 3 crops that are planted side by side. I think it's Northern American farming methods. So you've got your squashes or your pumpkins that with their big leafiness, they stop a lot of weeds growing up along the other crops. You've got your corn, which then grow really nice and strong and tall, which allows your beans to then sort of latch on as a lattice to help them grow tall and strong as well. So the planting all 3 of those together really helps to increase the yield of all of those crops together. And I love how that is integrated in the game. So the pumpkins may not be used directly as a harvestable material, but these ones give you lots of goods, which sort of enhances the sort of theme where you're gaining a bigger yield, and then you can't actually plant your beans until the corn is a certain height. And I just think that is very beautiful, and it's seamlessly woven into the theme of the game, and is really, really charming. Initially, this game, I thought it was going to be feeling quite the same as most other roll and write games, but the addition of the rondel actions and the end of round bonuses really sort of push it to the next level for me. I think that all of those actions sort of give you a lot to think about and a lot to chew over on your turn. And there's lots of sort of interlinking strategy. I particularly like how it sort of tempts you down multiple avenues in the game. So all of them are very closely knit. So your perennials will help you in your shed actions or your fruit actions, or even in your garden. So some of them, I didn't even do them in this game, but for example, allow you to plant and water a lot easier when you're doing gardening actions by manipulating the dye values. I just really like that it sort of tempts you down all of these extra routes. So in my head, I was going to go down the apiary quite heavily and really try and get those bonus points at the end. But then you just get sidetracked because you're like, oh, but that looks really nice in the shed. That shiny new tractor looks really fun. And then you start going down the perennials actions instead and pushing up those tracks. And it all looks very appealing. And I really like how all of those actions really interlink with each other and really start hitting off those combos. I do wish there was a little bit of a bigger area on the sheets to sort of try and keep track of your actions sometimes, because I do find that I can get a bit lost, especially if I'm in the farmer's market and I've got 2 perennial actions, but then I've got 3 perennial actions because of my bonus, and then the perennial actions allow you to do something in the shed, and then the shed allows you to do something else, and then you've got 4 bonus actions that you've just ticked off as well, and it just all gets a bit much. There's so much you're trying to do. You've got a little journal area to tick off where your bonus actions are coming from, but there's nowhere to sort of tick off, okay, I've got 3 perennial actions to take here, and then which one's my perennial? Was that my perennial, or can I use that as a wild action somewhere? It's really difficult to try and keep track of sometimes. I didn't have too many heavy bonuses this time, but they really can sort of trigger quite a few of them in your game, and they can just get quite overwhelming sometimes to keep track of. I really like how Farmer Edith works in this game. She's very simple to run, if you remember to move her, which I have not remembered to do in this game very well, but it's very, very simple to run. It's nice to be able to sort of see what she's going to be doing. So if you're drafting this die, you know what she's going to be doing, and you can weigh up your options about what your best option is at that point. I really, really like all that foresight and that planning that you can do, or you can do as little as you want, basically. You can sort of take this as the weight you want. You can just go ahead and just build up your garden in your best way, or you can really get into the nitty-gritty of what Edith is going to be doing to your garden and get involved in that. I really, really like that. I think it's great. I like the fact that she's also got a bit of a personality that woven in. So if we've got like a farmer meeple and she's been given a name, it really sort of brings this game to life a little bit more. I also love the little pumpkins on the die. They are just adorable. The whole aesthetic of this game is just gorgeous. The sheets are lovely. All of the colours really pop. It is very small, so I would have maybe liked it to be blown up an extra, like, say 25% or 20%. Then that would really allow you to maybe have a bit more room to like track those extra actions a bit more as well. I can imagine if you are somebody who struggles with their eyesight, this wouldn't be the best game for you. I have played this one multiplayer as well, just me and my husband. It is very much a multiplayer solitaire game, and there are sort of sections where somebody could just be doing a very quick tick off an icon in the shed and I don't know, planting a couple of crops, versus somebody who's doing 4 perennial actions and using the compost and gardening and then watering and then ticking up their perennials. So there is a little bit of a flow problem in this game. I don't think I would want to play it with many more people than 2, unless somebody's very familiar with the game, just because I think in certain areas it can slow up, and so the other person is just sat there essentially waiting for you, because you may not want to like continue to draft your die yet, just because you're making sure that they're happy with what they're doing and their choice before you proceed. So yeah, I think this game probably lends itself to single player or even 2-player more than higher player counts, and I think the solo mode really does a really good job of creating a really good game experience. I don't think you're really missing anything in the solo variant as compared to the multiplayer game at all. So I think it's a really strong solo game. The only thing that I thought was a little bit strange from a solo perspective, there is a bit in the shed. Let me find it. There's a carving kit, so you get 1 point per harvested pumpkin in the longest chain. So that is the only thing that I can think of that in a solo game you just probably will avoid, just on the basis that Edith's priorities are always going to be focused on the pumpkins. So you're going to be breaking that chain. Whereas in a multiplayer game, I found that because my strategy is usually like building up those goods, I really like the goods track and triggering all of those bonuses in the farmer's market with the perennials. I found that I managed to get the entirety of my pumpkin chain going. But in this game, because Farmer Edith is going to be crossing off pumpkins almost once every turn, you're going to be scoring those low scores so much more easily. So that's the only thing that I think you probably would just take out the solo game and not worry about. So overall, I think this is a lovely game to play. I find it very, very relaxing and very thematic, and I really like playing against Farmer Edith, who presents just the right amount of challenge, but also starts to manipulate your garden and be a pain in your backside. I think it's a really relaxing game. It's it fits into my sort of genre of gaming very well. I really like sort of tactile games, and the roll and write category is very exciting to me, but also the farming theme as well, and that comes through very nicely, as I said, with the 3 sisters being the 3 crops. As I said, I think this does lend itself to a solo game more than maybe multiplayer, and the solo mode works seamlessly, and I think it is a lovely one to add to your collection if you do like roll and write games. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and I hope you enjoyed 3 Sisters. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and you will be let know of any future releases that I do. Otherwise, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you on the next playthrough. Bye bye!